right, hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in here on this beautiful Tuesday morning, Tuesday, the 23rd of December. I want to talk today about what to know about ICE, what to know before embarking on your Christmas travel. And so, welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome to today's episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. All right? And today our theme is what to know before traveling for Christmas or New Year's or traveling generally. And so we'll talk about that. As I'm talking, if you've got questions about your immigration case, please feel free to send them. I'll do my best to answer them all. All right. My question as always is, hey, do you want to get a green card or apply for citizenship or apply for asylum or VAWA or a U visa or figure out what the best solution is or what the best strategy is to up-level your life through legal immigration processes? Because if so, go for it, and I'd love to help you with that. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years. We would love for your case to be one of them. All right. And so I wanted to start by sharing a big win. All right. I've got an order here from the district court in the Eastern District of California. And this is a habeas petition that I filed just last week. And yesterday, all right, yesterday we got a preliminary order regarding our temporary restraining order. And the order, one of the paragraphs in the order says, petitioner, who's our client, petitioner shall be released immediately from the government's custody. All right? That's a win. Petitioner shall be released immediately from the respondent's custody. Respondent, the government, shall not impose any additional restrictions on him, such as electronic monitoring, unless that is determined to be necessary at a future pre-deprivation or custody hearing. Okay? So they can't restrain him in any way unless they were to do some hearing, and they've got to release him. We filed this hoping, crossing our fingers, hoping that we might be able to get him out of custody before Christmas. We filed the case last week, and the client is going to be released today. All right, so I'm so happy for that. That is a win, and it shows the power of federal courts to hold immigration accountable when they are arresting or detaining people in violation of the law. You can sue them about it, and that is what we call a habeas case, a case of habeas corpus, and that's what we've won here, and we're going to get this client out of custody. All right, so I wanted to start with a win. Really excited about that, and so that's the good side. Now we'll talk about some not so good side. You know, we want to talk about holiday travel, and first of all, I should apologize. I got some tea, I got some cough drops. Like I'm not, you might be able to hear it in my voice. My throat is a little bit scratchy right now. I've been dealing with a cold. So anyway, if my throat or my voice cuts in and out as I'm talking, please give me some patience. All right. So the theme for today is what to know about ICE and what to know about what's going on during this holiday travel season. And last week I was meeting with a woman who told me a nightmare story. All right, she was going on vacation to Hawaii, had all of her family, kids, everybody in the airport all ready to get on the plane, even grandkids. Right, this is like a big family gathering. They're all going to Hawaii for a 1-week family vacation. And they get through security, they get through their TSA checkpoint, they get up to the gate. And as they're going through and they're boarding the plane, 2 officers come and arrest the father, the husband, right? and they say, hey, sorry, there's an order of deportation against you. We got to take you into custody. And what had happened there is TSA, which, yes, they are doing that, and we've had this as a theme. TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, is sharing traveler names with ICE. And this applies to domestic travelers. It always would apply to international travelers, but it's applying to domestic travelers. So if you're traveling within the United States, ICE will get lists of names of those who are traveling from TSA, and they'll check whether or not that person has an A number, and if so, whether or not there's an existing removal order. If there's a removal order found, they can arrest the person, and that's what happened here. All right, and so the family vacation was destroyed, and now they're dealing with how to get that client out of custody if possible, and how to file a habeas if possible. And in the meantime, they're reopening his old removal order from back in the day, and dealing with lawyers and dealing with all kinds of unpleasant things instead of dealing with the fun, happy time that was supposed to be their trip to Hawaii. Right? Horrible situation. And so, but you got to know, right? You got to know. And so, what the point is when you're thinking about travel, yes, make your travel plans. Yes, go enjoy yourselves, but be cautious if there's anything unknown inside of your immigration history, right? If you, for example, remember a time where you were caught at the border and you don't, for example, have records demonstrating that your case is clear and clean, right? Like if you remember that you were caught crossing the border in 1999 and right, or and you don't know for sure what happened at that crossing, then maybe you'll want to talk that through with a lawyer. You want to request all those records, not so that you're not surprised in front of your family on a trip when you're trying to go have a good time. All right? So that was the issue, right? In this case, this client had been caught crossing the border and had what we call an expedited removal order against him. And so, like, he would have known that. They would have given him a 5-year bar on re-entering the country, and they would have given him an actual removal order. And so, if you are listening to me, and if you know that something like that may have happened in the past, even if you don't know for sure what happened there, get to the bottom of it before going on a trip this holiday season. Like, get a lawyer, get those records, run the fingerprints, like get to the bottom of it so that when you travel, you can travel with confidence. Like, yeah, I've got my visa now, or I've got my, there's also in the news the case from the woman from Honduras who was in on a student visa who got picked up at Thanksgiving, and because she had a prior removal order, right, that she didn't even know about, right? Well, that's very scary, right? And that made the news. What normally is happening is they're looking for removal orders. And so if there's any confrontation that you have had in the past with ICE, then get to the bottom of it. Don't hide from it. Don't pretend that it was probably nothing. Like, that's a bad strategy, right? I want you to get the records that you need, get the clarity that you need so that bad things don't happen. All right? So anyway, that's what I wanted to share today. Pretty short and sweet message. But that it is important for folks, right? I want you to have some precaution, and I don't want you to have an awful travel experience if you've got a trip planned but don't have all your records in place. Unfortunately, ICE and TSA are sharing information, right? It's now like been reported about um, at in various news articles, and it's happening. It's real. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share today. There's lots of other things I could talk about. The asylum ban. All asylum applications are still paused right now. The travel ban is being expanded. All applications from all of the 19 countries are still paused, right? Work permits have been reduced and shortened. All of those things are still happening. The best advice with all of this is if you want clarity about your situation, get help, right? Don't guess. Don't also don't do it alone, right? Like get support, get help, get a team behind you, get empowered. That's the way to do this the right way. Okay? So hopefully all that's useful. Hope it's helpful. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. One more thing I want to share. If you're listening to me right now, and if you are a client of my firm, this is just for like clients of Land or Home Immigration A.P.C, my law firm. If you are a client, we have our next client call happening on Monday of next week, December 29th, which is next Monday at 3 p.m. And I'll do a client call giving our clients an update as to what's happening in the law. We'll also talk about our strategies of what we're doing to defend our clients right now. And then I'm going to do something kind of fun, and I'm going to do a New Year, New You workshop. And we can discuss how we can prepare ourselves and how we can plan our lives to achieve what we want in 2026 and beyond. Okay? We can achieve things in our lives even if Donald Trump is doing crazy stuff to enforce immigration laws around us. All right? Even if the country is moving in the wrong direction, we can still take decisions and take actions to move our lives in a positive direction. All right? And that's the truth. And I want to empower my clients to be able to do that. And so I'd invite you to join us next Monday, 3 p.m. It'll be fun. All right? So put that on your calendar. We'll send more information about that in the days to come. And in the meantime, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful holiday season. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and happy holidays, whatever holiday tradition you celebrate, or even if you don't celebrate, hey, have a great time. You know what I mean? For me, the holidays are all about family, and I love connecting with my family, and family means a lot, and I hope that you don't take your family for granted, and I hope that you're able to connect with them, share some love with them during this time. All right, that's what I got. That's all I'll say for today. What questions are out there? I'll answer a few, and then yeah, we'll see what we can say here. So let's see. Jackpotology. If you are detained, thank you. First of all, thank you for being here on TikTok, and thanks for asking this question. All right, so you say, if you are detained, how long do you have to be detained for before you file the habeas corpus, it should say. So you can file habeas corpus within hours of your detention if you're on top of it, right? If you have a lawyer ahead of time, if you've prepared the documents ahead of time. Practically speaking, practically speaking, and what often happens is somebody gets detained and then their family starts calling the immigration lawyers. Help, my loved one, my spouse, my child, my parent was just detained. Can you help us? And then 20 immigration lawyers will be like, sorry, we don't have capacity right now because things are crazy with immigration, right? And then eventually somebody might call our office and we'll be like, okay, Right now, we have capacity to take one of these cases a month, and that's it. One of these cases a month. And so if you're that case, and if you call in right then, okay, we can take that case, right? But the reason that we limit it is because it is a giant amount of work. All right, it is a giant amount. We have to discontinue working on the 900 active cases we currently have, and we have to laser focus on how do we get this guy out of detention. All right, so it's a challenging area of law, and that is the way our firm does it. But we do handle one of these each month, and we're new at it, right? So in November we won our first habeas as an office. In December we won our second just yesterday. That's this order right here. We won our second, and now we're starting to do them. And my goal in 2026 is to do one of these every month. All right, and if we can pick up the pace, we might end up doing more than one a month. So, but that's the way it is. But you're asking a good question. You're asking how long do you have to wait before you file the habeas? So, in my office, like just this last one, it took me about a week. I woke up at 5 a.m. every day for about a week to draft the documents for the motion they call it a petition for a writ of habeas corpus is the main document. But then I file it with a motion to proceed under a pseudonym to protect my client's privacy and his family's privacy. And then I file it with a motion for a TRO, which is a temporary restraining order. And then you file that with declarations and exhibits. And it's a lot. It's a big amount of paperwork that you're creating. And that's the right way to do it. And then you file it. So in other words, it took me about a week to prepare all the documents so that they were ready to be filed, review everything again, make sure everything was accurate, schedule a detained call with our client who was detained through an interpreter, right? We're working with interpreters in this particular case. And then, and then we go, and then we file it, and then the government opposed our documents, and then we replied saying that the government didn't know what they were talking about, which is basically true. And then, they're very intelligent lawyers, but they were wrong on the law because the government was illegally detaining our client. And so we won. All right, but that's the way it works. All right, so Cat Eskel, they say, did they cancel citizenship interviews for all DV lottery winners? Okay, thank you for asking that question. They have canceled all kinds of things. All right, they have canceled all kinds of interviews. You can see there are announcements throughout the country. And yes, our office received a cancellation for a citizenship interview. It didn't relate to the DV lottery. It was just a random citizenship interview for a person from Sweden, not from one of the travel ban countries. Very random. And, and that's it's common. It's happening, and so that's what you want to know. All right. And so, Riggs, you say, do I run the risk of being detained checking in on my yearly routine check-in for immigration? I mean, the answer is yes, you do. But like statistically, right? Check-ins with immigration is the easiest place for ICE to detain a person. But I'm not saying that they're going to detain you, right? To know the risks in your specific case, we would need to review your specific case, right? And so if you want that specific advice, let's do a consultation, let's talk it through. But the answer is yes, right? If you have a check-in coming up, and this is also a strategy, some people, if you have a check-in coming up, you might hire an attorney ahead of time to prepare a habeas, all right? Just so that just in case you're detained, you could file immediately, all right? And that's, some people are doing that, and my office will help people with that. That's actually a healthier way to prepare a habeas. You don't have to do it at 5 a.m. every morning. You can do it calmly. You're not trying to file it as an emergency motion, especially if the check-in is in March or something. We got plenty of time to prepare it, And so yes, that's something that you want to be cautious about, and you might schedule a consult if you have an attorney, to have a consultation with your attorney. If you don't have an attorney, feel free to contact our office. We could help you with that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Deja Parks. My husband has an NTA letter due to overstaying. His court date's in 2028. We got an NTA due to the first application when it got denied due to missing a form. Now we hired a good attorney. They'll help us refile everything over. All right, so now we got a green card interview for next month due to the refiling. Okay. All right, well, hey, I'm glad that you've got a new attorney. Sorry that there was an NTA. The green card interview, it's probably just on the I-130, because if you've got an NTA with a court date in 2028, then USCIS does not have jurisdiction over the green card, but they will have jurisdiction over the petition. And so I'm glad you've got a good attorney. I hope your interview goes well, right? If my office can help in any way, feel free to reach out, but it sounds like you're in good hands. And so good job. All right, good job. Let's see. Any other questions out there? I think those might be all of them. Looks like there's one more here on TikTok. Amor Agape, cool. As a permanent resident, I had a DUI 20 years ago, and a lawyer said I didn't qualify for post-conviction relief. Okay, I mean, you might not qualify for post-conviction relief, but you also might not need it. You're a permanent resident, you had a DUI 20 years ago, you might be eligible to apply for citizenship. Citizenship only requires that you not be quote-unquote deportable, which one DUI does not typically make a person deportable if it's just a simple DUI. Talk it through with a lawyer, look at the actual code section you were convicted of, right? But then you've also got to show, to request citizenship, you've got to show that you are a quote-unquote person of good moral character for the last 5 years. And so if your DUI happened 20 years ago, that doesn't cause a problem for your quote-unquote good moral character. You're still going to have to show evidence that you're doing good and have contributed, But if you've had a clean record for 20 years, you could file that case. I'd love to help you. We could, don't worry about post-conviction relief. Let's get you citizenship. Okay, that's the way I would do that. But yes, you want to request all the records and review everything and do it right and all that good stuff. Yes, of course. But you could become a citizen based on what I'm reading here. Okay? Hope that's useful. I hope that's helpful. So, okay, I think those are all the questions that I've got. Perfect timing. My throat is lasting, but is not going to last too much longer. I can feel it. So anyway, stay safe this Christmas season. Stay healthy this Christmas season. Don't get a cold like I have. And really, I meant what I said about not taking your family for granted. Like take this time to spend some quality time with the people in your life who you love, because life is short. Life is short, and it is, so many people don't have loved ones around them, and so many of our immigration cases are fought because of love, right? People hire our office because they love their family, and so don't take your family for granted, and cherish them, and do something to be with them this holiday season. It is one of the things that makes life precious. Let's see, Santa Luca, I see your question here. My husband filed for citizenship. AOS is pending adjudication. Marriage-based green card. Should we be considered? I didn't see the end of that one. Um, uh, but anyway, Santa Luca, I don't see the end of your question here, but you say you have an AOS application pending and a citizenship application pending. All right, cool, cool. That should be okay. Um, my best advice, have a lawyer who's working with you and have them help you out. And I wish you the very best. If my office can help you in any way, feel free to reach out. Okay? That's all I got for today, folks. Merry Christmas. Thanks to everybody sharing the Merry Christmas stuff. Hey, Merry Christmas to each of you too. Happy New Year. Happy holiday season. Wish you all the very best. And we'll see you next time on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Make it a great day, folks. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.